big a lot of those knocked over towards power, which opened up a lot more for Besiktas to get done. HVP's almost opened the door for themselves to get in towards this circle. I think continuing to challenge out towards that northern side, up towards that Copperia itself, maybe not the most smart idea, I'd say, just because you expose yourself to a lot of angles when you could just head towards the center. I mean, Vitali's holding out all on his lonesome in one of a very, very nice compound towards that north side. No one's challenged him. That could be a very easy spot that HVP could send over towards.
We'll need to figure out how to regroup here. We are in zone 4. It's probably likely that you're going to need to get a little bit closer to one another fairly soon. EK with 2 players still alive. Hope around the side, trying to spot out these Vivo key players. Next circle could really change things up for them, and in fact it will do. On that south side, it's really going to isolate those teams who have been on the high ground for so long. And actually, Skylights Gaming, with their 2-2 split, in some really priority positions.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot for Skylights Gaming, but now Vitali's position becomes really, really influential. Now, this is where I'm saying that, HVP could definitely send out towards this spot, go for the crash. It's a little bit more difficult because you don't know if there's a 4-man squad over here or not. So getting that scouting down early is going to be slightly more difficult to get done. But it is certainly a position that is now very free, and teams just don't know it yet. Down 1 Gaming, rolling up on VPE. 2 heavy hitters heading against one another. Already Favian starting things out strong versus Fluketh.
Just going to immediately take them down. Was more worried about the players inside the building, and the rest of Vampire fell off. They didn't have control of those sight lines. They weren't backing up Fluke on that wall. They decided to just invest on keeping 3 alive instead, but they might lose a little bit more than that now. With 1 more player stoned, trapped on the upstairs, very, very close by. Schwepp is across the road, maybe looking at some of these shots, but with the smokes already bloomed here, Vampire, there's not a lot you can do. Stops, drops out. Actually, there's knocks coming through from a third party. IHC entering the mix of things, running across the road. That smoke on his front left just about to fade away, and IHC are covering this crossing. A very, very difficult move to make for Vampire, but they're just trying to stay alive at this stage, Blank. They'll take what they can get. IHC are on every single side of them, but for some way, they manage to drop those smokes, allow themselves through that path. Stops, gets across to the wall.
It was always going to be difficult to leave this position, and you might think, because we always say this, that you don't want to head into a city too early, but I think for these players, they realized that there wasn't really anywhere else for them to go at this point in time. Heading towards this area was probably one of the safest bets they could have picked up. And, going out in the open zone, you're more likely going to get shot out by Skylights Gaming, or assume that there is a 4-man squad over towards where Inco Gaming and Vitali is currently playing and get shot out by them. So overall, a difficult push for a lot of these players. Vivo Key do find at least 1 over towards Geekay, currently trying to make their way through in the blue, but 2 go down. That's from HVP. Tixi, as well as Kitsune, heading in for the backstab here, acting as the rogues in stealth, and they drop out and will hit the ambush.
This is what you want to see from HVVP, moving through, sweeping at their back, and not going to be vulnerable. The center crash, it might have been solid, it might have been good, but they decide instead they just want to take control of more area in these final circles. Vivo Keyed have so much to worry about. Sliver of HP on the final player. Geekay do take a tumble. HVVP putting Vivo Keyed under massive, massive amounts of pressure on this south side. They want these ridge lines, they want these hills all to themselves, and quite frankly, there's no one stopping them right now.
Yeah, I think the sweep down towards the south side is actually a really, really intelligent decision from them. Taking the sweep down towards the south side means they have more time to play out towards the north, understanding that, up towards that northeast side, that's a huge hotspot. They don't want to challenge that out. If they can start, slowly eliminating some of these teams down towards the south side and clearing out 1 by 1, that is much easier than taking to those teams on the north side. Sure, they might be able to do it, but at what cost, realistically? Right now, they're picking up 9 eliminations, looking nigh on 10 for almost free, to be honest with you.
Dramatic repositions after the shots came through. Tixi keeps them on the swivel. This is solidly how you deal with a player. You don't want to get into nade range. Tixi has taken a little bit of damage from it. Meku still just keeping those sightlines clear, keeping them covered off, maintaining some high ground presence as well. Agrelin, last player standing for Vivo Key. To be fair, stayed alive for quite a while, but I imagine that's going to be the end of it. Kitsune gets the burn down on the knock. A resupply comes through. 10 eliminations now for HVVP as they start to ramp up on this south edge.
It really took their time with that as well. They didn't want to lose a single player to any silly little knocks or flushes coming through. It happens far too many times than I can count where you have one player that you go up against and you win the fight, sure, but you lose a player in the process. And going 4v1, being dropped down to 3 after that is not something you feel very good about. Now, I like that Meku remained in the back lines. They understood that they only needed 3 players for that if they took it slow. There wasn't a lot of sight lines from the north side that could really challenge them out. Now, HVP hold a very strong spot to just take some really good sight lines up towards that northern side, especially as a 4-man squad. They have a lot of angles that they can cover. They can cover their back easily. And again, they're playing this 2-2 split almost. You have 2 on the outside watching towards the blue, making sure there's no one coming through from those unexpected angles that have happened so many times. And you just really like this type of play. It's a team that has a massive engine in them that they can start burning when it needs to go. But in the meantime, they keep it on idle when it needs to stay cool.
Vampire continue with 3. First elimination of the game. Their miraculous crossing did go well, but they still have to go a little bit further now, and IHC will try and stop them. The push comes through. Ziol around the outside, just stopping them from hopping out the back and giving them the old swivel. Alex spotted. That's done one on the third-party engagement there. Around the side, around the edges. Osal with those off angles. Rather off angles. The high ground position will be good. HVVP dispatch power in the meantime, but IHC actually doing a lot of work. One player down, looking for the flush, will be able to find it. Steps out, doesn't take any damage. This is really masterfully played here by Ziol, but finally does get taken down as Ravenclaw sent out wide. Vampire knocked down to 2, but they are still alive from Le Corbreria. Nades from HVVP now being sent over towards Alpha 7 as they lie down the hill from them. And that's a position that nobody really wants to be in when HVVP are on 4.
Yeah, I mean, Alpha 7 is in a really tough spot. A lot of teams